Hey, welcome back to my advanced programming concepts course using C++. We are just in the middle of the most fun part of the whole course, which is pointers. And we just got through two small lectures on introduction to pointers. And now I want to talk about arrays and pointers. And it's a very important concept that you need to understand with arrays and pointers. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Okay, so I want to just return back to the concepts of arrays and how they work in C++ in terms of what they represent. So previous lectures I showed you that if you print out just the variable name of an array, so in this case we have an array called numbers. It's an array, it has 5 elements. And if we just print the variable name out, what this really represents is the starting address of numbers. So if we do that, okay, this is where the starting address of numbers begins, whatever this big digits is. Starting address, okay, starting address. Make sure you understand that. So that's where the numbers array starts. Okay? So by understanding that, that means that I can also print out the value of the first element of that array because I do have the address. So I can do it a number of different ways. I can always do this, right, and subscript it. That will give me 10. Okay, but we're learning pointers here. So with pointers, I can use the indirection operator and say, hey, I want you to print out whatever value you're at currently with the indirection operator. So if I do numbers, I can do that. And I can get the same thing as doing a subscript of 1. So let's break this down a bit. Okay, you know I love to break things down because that's what I'm here for. Right, so let's do this here. Oops. Let's take this. Okay. So what we have here is you've declared an array called numbers. So let's do that. Right? 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. This is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? We saw that numbers, right? That's the name of my array. And we can say that this maybe starts at address A01A, 01B, 01C, 01D, and 01E. Now, they're not going to be sequential like this because of the size of each element. Remember, it's a short, so shorts are 2 bytes. So actually, it should be A, C, and then E and up. But I'm not gonna confuse you. Let's just do a sequential just to make it easier. Okay, but just know that each element is 2 bytes, not 1 byte. Okay, so knowing that, if we just print out numbers, numbers is going to be, so by me doing std cout of numbers, this is actually going to print out x01a because that's the starting address of numbers. So any array you print out without anything is going to print the starting address of the array. So we know that the starting address is this here. Okay. By me recognizing that if I print out the name of the array and I get the starting address, then I could also use the indirection operator, much like I'm doing here, to print out the contents of the address. So when I do the indirection operator, I can access this value over here. Okay, so here's a $1 million question. If I can use the indirection operator with my array variable, how would I access this element over here, right? There has to be a way. Okay, obviously you can use a subscript, but we're talking about pointers. So, well, what we could do is we can add a value to numbers, right? Because remember, numbers itself represents this address. What happens if we add 4 to this? If we add 4, we're going to jump, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Remember, when we access numbers, it's the address of, so we add 4, we're over here. Right? So by me doing numbers plus 4, okay, that's actually going to give me or jump me up to x01e. But I don't want that. I don't want the address. I want the value. So how can I get the value? I can use the indirection operator by doing that. So let's take a look at the code. Okay. So what we can do is let us add 4. So this is 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I do that, now I have 50. Okay. So by me adding to the actual address, okay, I have to remember to always put the indirection operator, because this way I can access the value of that address. Okay. Now you think you're a hotshot, right? Well, what if we want to print all elements in my short numbers array? How would I do that using pointer arithmetic? How would I do that? Well, very simple. What I can do, we are still going to have, a loop, right? So I can say for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. And then I can say std cout, std set width 5. And then here we can say numbers plus I in direction. Right? I'll show you real quick on the compiler. Okay, and then I'll go through this step by step. So let's do this. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. What is going on here? It's like the Twilight Zone, right? So this is what we call pointer arithmetic. And again, it's a pretty interesting concept to master, but so let's take this out. Do this here. Okay. All right. Now, in our for loop, okay, if I is 0, okay, and numbers is this thing on the first iteration, right? So iteration 1, so I'm going to do a table here. This is iteration 1. Okay. So on iteration 1, just put it over here. Iteration 1. What is numbers? What is the indirection of numbers? And what's I? So on iteration 1, I is 0. Right? We initialize I. What is numbers? Numbers, we're going to use our address that I made up. So numbers is x01a. And indirection of numbers is 10, right? If I do numbers, which I'm doing here, if I do numbers plus I, right? We're adding our address value, x01b plus 0, and that's going to give me x01a. x01a, the contents of, because of the indirection operator, is going to give me 10. So for output, we have 10, right, with a width of 5. Right, so we do that. On the next iteration, I becomes 1. Okay. When I do numbers plus I, numbers plus I, what is numbers plus I? Well, you'd have to do a little bit of hexadecimal addition. That's something you can look up yourself, but basically you're just adding 1. So the next one is x01b, numbers plus I. Okay, so this plus this. What is the indirection of numbers plus I? It's 20. Oops. Okay, so remember, we're doing numbers plus I, right? Numbers plus I. Okay. Next iteration, I becomes 2. We're going to do again numbers plus I. Again, numbers plus I. So this is plus 1, and this is plus 2. So what's numbers of I plus 2? I mean, it's numbers plus 2. It's x0, 1c. And using the indirection over here, we have 30. Okay, so there's a couple of steps here when you're iterating through an array. Okay, and then eventually, again, notice how numbers, right? We're really always using the starting address. We're not ever using this or this as a pivot. We can, if you want, we can. But for beginner's sake, we just want to make sure that we understand that the only thing that's changing is I, right? So this is plus 3 and this is plus 4, right? And it's never going to get to 5 because of this comparison here. Okay? So I hope that this made you understand the relationship with pointers and arrays. We're going to look at more examples on the next video. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video.